What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while since I've spoken to you guys last. I'll give you guys a little bit of an update at the end of the video, but we are now in the beginning of week 16, and I wanted to get out some of my predictions for the rest of the NFL season. So I was looking at the standings the other day, and it shocked me to make me realize how crazy close the standings were, especially in the AFC. So if I can just read these out to you real quick. As of the beginning of week 16, we've got the Patriots and Titans at 9-5, Bengals, Colts, Chargers, and Bills and Ravens all at 8-6. The Steelers are alone at 7-6-1 because of the one tie with Detroit. And the Raiders, Dolphins, Browns, and Broncos are all at 7-7. This is absolutely insane. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 teams all separated by 2 games or less. This is absolute madness. And the only team that I can safely say has won their division, in my opinion, is the Kansas City Chiefs. They look to be back on track. So I'm not going to talk about them right now. I want to talk about these teams right here. I laid out all of their remaining 3 games for the rest of the season, and I'm going to take a look at who I think is going to be the winners in the AFC. I'm going to do the same thing with the NFC, but their playoff picture is a little bit more in focus. So I'm going to spend a majority of my time looking at the AFC. So we're going to begin with the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to go... Well, first of all, they've got the Bills, Jags, and the Dolphins to finish out their season. 2 divisional opponents and 1 lowly Jacksonville team. Believe it or not, the Bills and the Dolphins normally do give the Patriots some fits. So, believe it or not, I've actually got the Patriots going 10-7, going 1-2 in their last 3 games. So, still a very, very respectable record to finish with. However, I don't know if it's going to be enough to win the division, because if we look at Buffalo's remaining schedule, Buffalo, again, like I said, has the Patriots, but then they've also got the Falcons and the Jets. That's an extremely favorable schedule. So if they handle business and win out the rest of the season, they go 11-6, Patriots go 10-7, and I've got the Bills as the AFC East champions. Now, we can take a look at the AFC South. Right now, we've got Tennessee in the lead right now. They finish off their schedule with the Niners, Dolphins, and Texans. Okay, whereas Indianapolis finishes out their schedule with Arizona, the Raiders, and the Jaguars. So this one, I actually think the Tennessee Titans will finish 2-1. I think they lose to the Niners this week because the Niners are on a little bit of a roll, but I do think that they beat the Dolphins and they beat the Texans. Whereas if you look at Indianapolis, Cardinals, Raiders, Jags, I think all of those are very winnable games. Arizona's kind of reeling right now, so I think that Indianapolis can win out. Now, they both finished with an 11-6 record, but if I'm not mistaken in the research that I've done, Tennessee should still hold the tiebreaker against them. So I do think that Tennessee wins the AFC South, but Indianapolis will make the playoffs. Now we can look at a couple other teams before I even try and figure out the AFC North, because that situation is insane. I'm going to look at the AFC West. Now I do think, like I said, the Chiefs are going to win out and they're going to win that division. However, if you look at teams like the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos. So let's look at their remaining schedules. We've got the Chargers going up against the Texans, Broncos, and Raiders. The Raiders are going up against the Broncos, Colts, and Chargers, and Broncos go Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs. All division games for the Broncos. I honestly think the Broncos are going to lose out. I don't see them having enough consistency at quarterback, just like I predicted at the beginning of the season. So I think they finish with a record of 7-10, and they miss the playoffs. They end in last place in the AFC West. The Raiders, I see them beating the Broncos. Like I said earlier, I think they lose to the Colts, but they pull out a win against the Chargers. Now, I think the Chargers are the better team, but the Chargers always seem to have these games where they snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They had Kansas City beat, and Kansas City beat them. So, as much as I like Justin Herbert, I think the Raiders sneak out that win. However, I don't see the Raiders having enough to make the playoffs, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. So I got the Raiders finishing with a record of 9-8, and the Chargers will finish out their season with a win against the Texans, win against the Broncos, but they lose to the Raiders in the last game of the season to finish with a record of 10-7. Now let's try and figure out this AFC North situation, because this is absolutely crazy. Like I said earlier, you've got Bengals at 8-6, you got the Ravens at 8-6, you got the Steelers at 7-6-1, and you got the Browns at 7-7. That is stupid. Like, they're literally, all four teams are separated by one game with 3 to go. So the way I've got it playing out here, I really shuffled this throughout about in my head. I had to write all these games down because I had to figure out if this person won, then this team lost, and it helps figure out the standings. This is going to be insane. This is a total crapshoot just trying to figure out this division. But I've got the Ravens beating Cincinnati, and then I've also got the Ravens losing to the Rams, because I just think the Rams are a better team than them right now, and their defense is struggling against a high-power offense like that because the Ravens got a lot of injuries on defense. But I think they pull out a win against Pittsburgh, only because they lost a close game to Pittsburgh earlier this season. So I think Baltimore ends with a 10-7 record, and I think that makes them the de facto AFC North champions. Now Cincinnati's got, again, Ravens, Chiefs, and Browns. I think they lose to the Ravens. I think they lose to the Chiefs. But I think they pull out a win against the Browns in the final game of the season. Now, if they can do that, they will finish with a 9-8 record. And because they beat the Raiders earlier head-to-head this season, if I'm not mistaken, I think that should be the tiebreaker, meaning they make the playoffs. That would be insane for Joe Burrow to make the playoffs with the Bengals this year, but I think that's what's going to happen. Now, having said all of that, it's kind of spoiling the rest of what I think is going to happen with this division. Obviously, then the Steelers and the Browns won't make it, but this is what I think is going to happen. The Chiefs are going to beat the Steelers, but the Steelers rebound and beat the Browns and then lose a heartbreaker to the Ravens, like I said earlier. So I think their final record for the season is going to be 8-1. And that's what's really killer, because that Lions tie is going to come back to haunt them. Like, I think they could have possibly made the playoffs based off of, maybe certain parameters and stuff, but that tie to the Lions is just going to be killer, and I think that's what's going to keep them out of the postseason. Cleveland is just reeling, between injuries, COVID, and also just a little bit of Baker Mayfield's decline. I don't know what's going on. I know he's injured. I know he's got some stuff he's dealing with, but they've just been such a letdown this season. Like, it's crazy. I really thought they were going to be contenders in the AFC, and just whether it's coaching, whether it's personnel, whether it's just Cleveland's bad luck, it seems like they always have. I don't see Cleveland winning another game this season. That's my prediction. I could very well be wrong, but I think Cleveland takes a huge step back this season and finishes 7-10. So, to give you guys my final thoughts, I know I was kind of rambling a little bit, but this is the way I see it playing out. Kansas City finishes 13-4. They finish with the number 1 seed in the AFC. Then I've got Buffalo and Tennessee, both at 11-6, winning their divisions. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Tennessee has more division wins than Buffalo, so I think they'll take the number 2 seed, which means Buffalo will be 3, and then Baltimore finishes at 7-7 as the 4 seed. Now, I've got here written in my notes that Indianapolis should finish 11-6, therefore they should be the first wild card. Second wild card will be the Patriots, and third wild card will be the Cincinnati Bengals. So, again, we'll see how this plays out. I'm not entirely sure if that's what's going to happen, but I'm fairly confident with my picks. Now, if we look at the NFC is a little bit more squared away. Right now, the current state of things is Green Bay is first, Dallas is the second seed, Tampa Bay's third, Arizona's fourth, Rams are the first wild card, San Francisco's second wild card, and Minnesota and Philadelphia are both duking it out for that final wild card spot. Now, Green Bay's got to finish out their season with the Browns, the Vikings, and the Lions. I don't see them losing another game. They look unstoppable right now. I think they're the clear number 1 seed in the NFC at 14-3. Dallas has Washington, the Cardinals, and Philadelphia. I think they beat Washington handily. I don't see Washington hanging out with them, especially with that anemic offense and a surprisingly good Dallas defense. I've underestimated their defense this year, and I think they pull it out to beat Washington yet again. Although, I think Arizona upsets Dallas in the second to last week of the season. I think Arizona is going to beat Dallas head-to-head, but Dallas rebounds and beats Philly in the last game of the season. So Dallas is going to finish at 12-5. Now that's crucial because let's skip ahead to the Cardinals. Cardinals, like I said, they finish with Indianapolis. I think that's a loss. They rebound against Dallas because of that loss, and then they finish out with the win against a lowly Seattle team. That gives them a final record of 12-5 as well. But because they beat Dallas head-to-head, I'm pretty sure that's going to give them an edge over Dallas. And Tampa Bay will finish their season with a super easy schedule of Carolina, New York Jets, and then Carolina again. So they are going to finish with a 13-4 record. And so if I go to just division winners, I believe the top 4 seeds in the NFC are going to be Green Bay, number 1, Tampa Bay, number 2, and then I've got Arizona edging out Dallas for the 3rd spot because they beat them head-to-head, and Dallas gets the number 4 seed. Now, where does that leave the rest of the teams in the NFC? Well, we can look at the first wildcard team right now, which is my Rams. The Rams are going up against Minnesota, Baltimore, and San Francisco. Now, the Rams just played Seattle. Because of the COVID outbreak that happened with them, they're going to have to plan a short week and go to Minnesota. I think the shortened week, because of all the COVID outbreak, I think that's going to affect them, and this is going to be a trap game. So I think Minnesota pulls out this game this week. However, I think the Rams rebound from that, find a way to beat Baltimore in Baltimore because of the defensive issues that they're having there, like I said before, and somehow, some way, find a way to finally exercise their demons against the Niners. The Niners always have the Rams record, but I have a feeling that they're going to figure it out. They lost to them already earlier this season, and I think they split the season series. So they'll finish with a 12-5 record, same as Arizona. However, Arizona has a better division record rather than the Rams. I believe the Rams will finish with a 3-3 record as opposed to Arizona. They'll finish with a 4-2 record if I'm not mistaken. So Arizona should win the division if this all plays true. I hope I'm wrong for my sake, but I do think the Rams are going to get that first wild card spot. Now, the Niners finish with Tennessee, Houston, and the Rams. I think they beat Tennessee, they beat Houston, but then lose to the Rams, finishing with a 10-7 record, which is enough to get them the number 2 seed, and the second wild card spot, sorry. And then, this is where it gets interesting. We've got Minnesota and Philly. Both of them right now are fighting for that third wild card spot. Minnesota's going to play the Rams. I think they beat the Rams. Green Bay, they lose that game, and then they finish their season off against Chicago, which is a very, very winnable game. If they do that, they finish with a 9-8 record. Philadelphia is going to be playing New York Giants, Washington football team, and then the Cowboys. I think they beat the Giants, beat Washington, but then lose to Dallas. Now, they both will finish, Minnesota and Philadelphia will finish with a 9-8 record. Now, I looked at their division records, and I think the Vikings will edge out the Eagles based off of division records. Either that or they should edge them out off strength of schedule. I'm not entirely sure, but that's my understanding of how this should go. So if my theory is correct, the NFC is going to break down to Green Bay number 1, Tampa Bay number 2, Arizona number 3, Dallas number 4, Rams first wild card, Niners second wild card, and then Vikings third wild card. So those are my predictions for today. Thanks very much, you guys, for constantly, watching these videos and supporting me. I really appreciate it. Like I said, to give you a little update, hopefully the next time I put out a video, it'll be in a much different setting. I look forward to hearing from you guys all again. Drop a comment down below. Let me know how you think your team's going to finish out. And you guys take it easy, and I'll see you next time.